Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back
This Halloween.
Now back to me.
Speed is what gets you there.
Accessibility in design is something that is often overlooked by designers. When you design for a mass audience, you have to remember who that mass audience is made up of. An audience, by definition, is a group of individuals. Commonalities between individuals often seem obvious and tend to overshadow the differences. What is the point in designing for a group of people if part of that group may never even know it was there? This isn't just restricted to appreciation of design, but safety as well. Although our world isn't perfect, technology has come a long way in finding ways to include the blind, with streetlights that tell us when to cross and tactile strips at the end of subway platforms that tell us where to walk. One of the earliest forms of communication that didn't require sound or visuals was a method invented in 1821 by Captain Charles Barbier of the French military. It's called night writing, and the purpose was to communicate during night. It wasn't invented for the blind, but rather a silent method of communication used during the war when talking out loud was way too risky and passing notes with a light brought too much attention. Louis Braille was born in the year 1809. He was blinded at the age of 3 due to an incident with his father's tools. At the age of only 15, he created Braille, inspired by night reading he used in school. This process was an improvement from night reading because it shrunk 12 dot cells into 6 dot cells, meaning you can feel the whole letter with only one finger. Braille is a code that could be used for many different languages and can also be used for music and numbers. In the year 1839, Louis invents orthography. This is raised dots in the shape of normal letters so that sighted people could read the exact same text as blind people. This was invented so that the relatives of the blind could read what their students were reading as well. This is one early example of how one specific design could be made accessible to a very large group of people. Jumping forward in time to the modern days, Kosuke Takahashi invented a Braille typeface that could be read by the blind and the sighted. The difference, though, is that instead of the Braille being traced on top of regular letters, the Braille is actually inserted in a creative way where the Braille remains the same and the letters remain the same, yet they overlap in a way that becomes accessible and easy to read for both users. Other more commonly known softwares that allow the blind as well as the sighted to be able to use the same things are audiobooks, for example, Kindles, as well as text-to-speak softwares. For example, on your phone, the setting that allows you to talk into the microphone, and then the smartphone will reproduce what you're saying into typed-out words. In the Netherlands, a graphic designer by the name of René Put created a postage stamp that featured typographic abstractions alongside embossed Braille text. This made it legible for both the sighted and the blind. Rubik's Cube have been a fan favorite ever since I could remember, and seeing them in a design that's accessible to the blind is such a simple yet revolutionary idea. Another really cool inclusive design was created in 2008 by 3 designers who won a Red Dot Award for the Braille Polaroid camera. This allows people to take a picture and instantly print it using the built-in Braille printer. The last thing I want to mention is such a simple yet valuable tool that most people would overlook. It's called Dot, and it's the first Braille smartwatch. Basically, pegs will pop up to indicate the different times of the day. Next, I want to move on to the production of Braille. The first technique I'm going to mention is the oldest technique, and it's done using a slate and a stylus. This technique is done by hand, and it is done by placing a sheet of paper in between pieces of plastic that are connected together by a hinge. The top piece of plastic includes windows, and each window represents one Braille cell. The second piece of plastic has embossed indentations with 6 dots representing each block that makes up one letter. Use the stylus to push letters into the indentations in order to make the letter you desire. Indentations are made onto the back of the paper. Everything must be written in reverse, so when you flip over the paper, everything can be read the proper way. More modern techniques like the Perkins typewriter or the Mountbatten work like a typewriter, where users can use the Braille keyboard to type in the letters that they wish. The more modern softwares even read out the letters to the user as they type. Most Braille books printed today, including textbooks for children and books for adults, are created at the American Printing House, founded in 1858. They produce books in several accessible formats, including Braille, recorded, large print, and computer files. They create products that can be used both by the blind and by the sighted. Graphic design is all about designing with a purpose. Designers should be aware that creation is made in a way that is accessible to all viewers. They don't have to be specific to one or the other.